$1,260,000. That's the number Americans now say they need before retirement stops feeling scary. Northwestern Mutual asked thousands of adults that exact question in its 2025 Planning and Progress study. The answer came back as $1.26 million. And that answer is quietly ruining people's lives. Meet Maya. Maya is 28, works in marketing, and earns $62,000 a year. Every Sunday night, she opens her banking app. The screen says $19,400. She measures that against $126 million and feels her stomach drop. At her current savings pace, the gap looks like 70 years of work. So she closes the app, and the anxiety stays right where it was. Here's what Maya doesn't know. The $126 million figure is not her number. It's probably not your number either. There is a different number, one almost nobody talks about, where retirement anxiety actually ends. For some people, that number is $330,000. For some people, it's $220,000. And some people sitting on $2 million still haven't reached it, because the number where anxiety ends was never a savings balance at all. Run the numbers with me, because this changes how you see every dollar you save. First, understand what's at stake, because this isn't just about feelings. Retirement anxiety has a real dollar cost. People who believe they need $1.26 million and feel hopeless about it do something predictable. They stop saving entirely because $400 a month feels pointless against a seven-figure wall. Others do the opposite and work 5 extra years they never needed to work. Both mistakes come from the same broken measuring stick. The employee benefit. Research Institute has tracked this for 35 years, and the pattern holds. Workers who don't know their real number either freeze or overshoot. Meanwhile, the people who feel fine, and there are millions of them, tend to share one boring trait that has nothing to do with being rich. Now here's the puzzle that breaks the $126 million story wide open. Researchers keep finding retirees with $200,000 who sleep 8 hours a night. And they keep finding retirees with $2 million who check their portfolio 14 times a day. If the magic number were real, that pattern would be impossible. More money would always mean less fear. It doesn't. Something else is deciding who feels safe, and it can be measured in dollars. Here's what the data shows. Meet Walter. Walter is 67, a retired high school teacher in Columbus, Ohio. His life savings total about $150,000, an amount the retirement industry would call a failure. Every month, a pension deposit of $2,650 lands in his checking account. Social Security adds another $1,750. That's $4,400 a month, every month, for life. Walter's essential bills, the mortgage payment, groceries, insurance, utilities, come to $3,900. He doesn't check the stock market. Last spring, he paid $4,200 for an Alaskan cruise and didn't lose a minute of sleep. Now meet Richard. Richard is 66, a retired sales executive living 12 minutes from Walter. His brokerage account holds $2.1 million. That's 14 times Walter's savings. By every YouTube thumbnail standard, Richard won retirement. But Richard has no pension. Every dollar he spends must be pulled by hand out of that portfolio. His essentials run $5,100 a month. So 12 times a year, Richard sells shares and feels like he's cutting into his own lifeboat. When the market dropped 9% in March, he canceled a flight to his granddaughter's recital. The ticket cost $340. He has $2.1 million. Watch Richard's mornings because they're a masterclass in how money fails to buy calm. He wakes at 6:40 and checks the futures market before his coffee finishes brewing. Red numbers before breakfast mean a careful day, store brand day, maybe skip the dinner out day. He once spent 40 minutes comparing 2 grocery rotisserie chickens separated by $150. His financial advisor calls twice a year to say the plan has a 91% success rate. Richard hears the other 9% and grips the phone a little tighter. He's not broke. He's rich and unprotected, and his body can't tell the difference. Walter's mornings run differently. He reads the sports section first because nothing in the business section can touch him. His pension survived 2008 without blinking. It survived the 2022 crash he barely noticed. When his furnace died in January, he shrugged, put $300 on the card, and paid it off over 2 pension checks. The man's entire financial dashboard is one question. Did the checks arrive? And the answer has been yes for 67 straight months. Let's keep this fair. Same city, same age, same health, similar monthly spending. One man has 14 times more money and measurably more fear. Walter spends without flinching. Richard rations airfare out of a $2 million account. Most people look at this pair and call Richard irrational. He isn't. Richard's brain is responding accurately to his actual situation. Walter gets paid no matter what the S&P 500 does. Richard's paycheck depends on a number that moved 9% in 3 weeks. One of them has income. The other one has a pile, and your nervous system knows The difference between income and a pile, even when your spreadsheet doesn't. That difference is the entire secret. The number where retirement anxiety ends isn't $1 million and it isn't $126 million. It's the number where guaranteed monthly income covers essential monthly expenses. Researchers call it an income floor. Once that floor exists, anxiety collapses, whether your savings are $150,000 or $150,000 short of everyone's expectations. Before we find your version of that number, you need to see why the famous number is fake. Here's what nobody tells you about retirement math. The famous formulas calculate the wrong thing. They start with your income and tell you to replace 80% of it forever. Replace $80,000 a year for 30 years, and yes, you'll need well over $1 million. But you don't spend your income, you spend your expenses. And only some of your expenses actually decide whether you feel safe. Watch how Carla runs it instead. Carla is 32, an operations analyst, and John's coworker. One Tuesday evening, she sits down and lists only her essentials. Rent that will one day be a paid-off mortgage, food, utilities, insurance, transportation, healthcare premiums. Her essential life costs $3,400 a month, not her vacation life, not her restaurant life, the keep the lights on life. That single list took her 20 minutes. Then Carla pulls up her Social Security statement online, which took 4 more minutes. At full retirement age, her projected benefit reads $2,300 a month. Now the subtraction. $3,400 in essentials minus $2,300 guaranteed leaves a gap of $1,100 a month. That gap is the only part of retirement Carla actually has to fund. Everything else is already funded for life. Now the multiplier. To fund a monthly gap from savings, multiply it by 300. That's the classic 4% rule flipped into monthly terms, 25 years of annual spending. Carla's gap of $100 times 300 equals $330,000. That's Carla's number, not $126 million. $330,000, a third of the number that was keeping her up at night. Same woman, same expenses, same retirement. The only thing that changed was measuring the gap instead of the pile. Let's stress test that with a bigger life, because maybe $3,400 sounds small to you. Say your essential life costs $5,000 a month, a paid-off house in a pricey suburb, 2 cars, good insurance. Say you and a spouse will collect $3,800 a month in combined Social Security. Your gap is $1,200. Times 300, you need $360,000. A comfortable 2-car, name-brand groceries retirement, fully funded for about a quarter of the famous number. The formula doesn't care how big your life is. It only cares about the distance between your floor and your checks. Why does the gap method beat the pile method so badly? Because a pile has a hidden enemy that nobody puts in the brochure, and its name is sequence risk. Imagine 2 retirees who both quit with $1 million and withdraw $40,000 a year. Same average market returns over 25 years. The only difference is the order the returns arrive in. If the crash comes in year 22, the first retiree dies rich. If the same crash comes in year 1, the second retiree can run dry in his early 80s. Same money, same average, opposite endings. That's what happened to people who retired into 2008, when the S&P 500 fell 37% in a single year. A $1 million portfolio became $630,000 while its owner still needed grocery money every single week. Pull $40,000 out of a crashed portfolio and you're selling twice as many shares at half the price. Wounds that never fully heal. This is the true reason piles can't buy calm. A pile is a guess about the future. A floor is a contract with it. Your pension doesn't have a sequence. Your Social Security doesn't have a drawdown chart. The gap method works because it moves your survival off the guess and onto the contract, and leaves the market gambling only for the dessert layer. So where did $126 million come from? Not from a calculation, from a survey. Northwestern Mutual asked Americans how much they think they'll need. The 2025 answer averaged $1.26 million, down from $1.46 million in 2024. Read that again. The national retirement target moved by $200,000 in 1 year because vibes shifted. No formula on earth behaves that way. Fear does. And fear has a sales force. Picture the advisor's office. A financial advisor leans across a polished desk and slides over a projection showing a retirement shortfall in red. The bigger the number he anchors in your head, the more of your money moves under his management. Many advisors charge roughly 1% of assets every year. On a $126 million portfolio, that's about $2,600 a year every year. He is not lying to you. He's just paid by the pile, not by your peace of mind. Meanwhile, here's the reality the scary number ignores. Federal Reserve data puts the median retirement account for households aged 55 to 64 near $185,000. That means half of near retirees hold less than 15% of the so-called magic number. If 1.26 million were truly the finish line, most American retirees would be destitute. They're not. In the 2025 EBRI Retirement Confidence Survey, about 3 in 4 retirees said they're confident about affording retirement. Confident on savings nowhere near 7 figures. The gap between the myth and the data is where all your anxiety lives. Here's what actually happens to people who win the pile game. Retirement researchers David Blanchett and Michael Fink found something strange in retiree spending data. Retirees spend roughly twice as much per dollar of guaranteed income as per dollar sitting in a portfolio. Twice. A pension dollar gets spent, a portfolio dollar gets guarded, like a museum piece. They called guaranteed income a license to spend. Richard is the proof. On paper, Richard can afford $84,000 a year of spending using the 4% rule. His actual spending last year was $61,000. He underspent his own safe limit by $23,000, then felt guilty about a $340 flight anyway. Studies of retirees show this pattern everywhere. Many portfolio-only retirees finish 20 years of retirement with more money than they started with. They saved their whole lives to buy freedom, then never opened the box. One large asset manager study found typical retirees still holding about 80% of their starting savings 2 full decades into retirement. 2 decades. The money outlived the dancing years it was supposed to pay for. Walter has the opposite relationship with money. When his pension deposit lands, on the first of the month, it's already spent in his head. Golf on Tuesdays, dinner with his daughter on Fridays, the cruise fund on autopilot. He replaced his water heater for $1,900 without a spiral. Ask Walter his net worth, and he'd have to think about it. Ask him his monthly income, and he answers in 1 second. That's the tell. Safe people count income. Anxious people count piles. Now for the asset, the $126 million myth pretends doesn't exist. Your Social Security is not a bonus. It's an inflation-adjusted annuity you've been buying with every paycheck since your first job. The average retired worker's benefit in 2025 was about $2,000 a month. For a typical couple, benefits often total around $46,000 a year, rising with inflation for life. Want to know what that stream is worth in pile terms? Go price it. Buying a $46,000 a year, inflation-adjusted joint lifetime income from a private insurer would cost a couple well over $1 million today. Read that carefully. The average American couple already owns the functional equivalent of a 7-figure annuity and has been told they have nothing. When someone says you need $126 million, the honest response is that you may already hold most of it. And this asset has a cheat code. Every year, you delay claiming past. Full retirement age, your benefit grows by roughly 8%, guaranteed until age 70. Delay from 67 to 70 and a $2,300 check becomes about $2,250. That one decision can shrink a $100 monthly gap to $550, which cuts the savings you need from $330,000 to $165,000. No market risk, no hot stock picks, just paperwork and patience. 2 honest asterisks on the delay play. If your health history argues against a long life. Claiming earlier can be the right call because the delay bet pays off in your 80s and 90s. And bridging from 67 to 70 means covering 3 years of expenses from savings, roughly $122,000 at a $3,400 monthly lifestyle. That sounds brutal until you notice it buys a raise of about $550 a month, inflation adjusted for life, which is a better deal than any private annuity on the market. Most people never even run the comparison. They claim at 62 lock-in checks about 30% smaller, and then wonder why their gap needs a fortune to fill. Of course, wherever there's a fear, there's a guy in a nice suit renting it out. Picture the retirement seminar with free steak dinner. A salesman with a wide grin works the room, and his pitch is built exactly on the $1.26 million panic. You'll never save enough, he says, but this indexed annuity guarantees you'll never lose money. What he mentions more quietly are the fees, often 2 to 3% a year buried in riders, the surrender charges that can lock your money up for 10 years, and the commission, which on a $300,000 annuity can pay him $15,000 to $21,000 the week you sign. So let's be precise, because this is where nuance saves you real money. The income floor idea is sound, and for some people, a plain, boring annuity is a legitimate tool to build it. But there's a hierarchy. First, maximize the inflation-protected annuity you already own by delaying Social Security, the best-priced guaranteed income in America. Second, kill essential expenses, especially entering retirement without a mortgage payment. Third, only then consider buying simple guaranteed income, comparing quotes, and never at a steak dinner. The floor is the goal. The overpriced product is the trap wearing the goals jacket. Most people get sold the jacket. Diana learned about the myth the modern way from her phone. Diana is 34, carries a $310 monthly student loan payment, and saves what she can. One night, her feed serves her a finance influencer shouting that $3 million is the new minimum. She screenshots it and sends it to her friend with 3 crying emojis. Her friend, to his credit, pushes back over coffee the next day. He points out that the guy selling Panic also sells a $500 course, but the damage pattern is already visible in the research. Among workers, Ebri finds only about 2/3 feel confident about retirement, and the least confident save the least. Panic doesn't fund accounts. Panic freezes them. Because here's the shape of the actual anxiety curve. Below the income floor, every extra dollar of security genuinely helps. But once guaranteed income covers essentials, the fear line goes flat. Piling savings from $1 million to $2 million barely moves it, and Richard proves it daily. Psychologists studying retirees keep landing on the same conclusion. Well-being tracks certainty of income, not size of wealth. Your brain evolved to fear an empty cupboard next week, not a spreadsheet in 2055. Cover the cupboard, kill the fear. You can even watch the curve operate inside a single bad year. In 2022, both stocks and bonds fell hard, a rare double crash. Portfolio-only retirees cut spending, canceled trips, and some quietly went back to work. Retirees with pensions and Social Security covering essentials cut almost nothing because their floors never moved a dollar. Same economy, same headlines, 2 completely different retirements. The market decided their portfolio balances. The floor decided their blood pressure. There's a generational irony hiding in here too. Walter's generation had pensions handed to them, floors built by employers, no assembly required. His daughter's generation got 401ks instead, piles with instructions missing. So when Walter tells Diana's generation to just stop buying coffee, he's forgetting he never had to build the thing he's standing on. And when younger workers assume retirement security died with pensions, they're missing that the floor can still be built by hand. It just changed from a gift into a project. So let's build your number, the real one, in 3 steps you can finish this week. Step 1. List your essential monthly expenses in retirement: housing, food, utilities, insurance, transportation, healthcare. Be honest but strict. Essentials only. Step 2. Log into ssa.gov and read your projected benefit at full retirement age. Add any pension you'll receive. Step 3. Subtract. Whatever monthly gap remains. Multiply by 300. That product is your anxiety ending number. Diana did it that same weekend. Essentials came to $3,150 a month. Her Social Security projection read $2,210. Gap, $740 a month, times 300, that's $222,000. For a decade, Diana believed she needed $126 million and was 2% of the way there. In one evening, she discovered she needed $222,000 and was already 11% of the way there. Same bank balance. 5 times the progress. She put down her phone and raised her 401k contribution by 3%. Carla went one step further and built the whole thing into a 1-page spreadsheet. Column 1, Essentials, $3,400. Column 2, Guaranteed Income, $2,300 now, $2,850 if she delays to $70. Column 3, the gap under each choice, be $100 or $550. Column 4, the target, $330,000 or $165,000. She showed it to John over lunch, and he pointed at the delay column and smiled. Her 20-year savings plan had just become a 12-year plan without saving a single extra dollar per month. The math was always this simple. It was just never this visible. Maya ran hers too. Essentials, $3,050. Projected benefit, $1,250. Her gap of $900 a month times 300 comes to $270,000. Suddenly her $19,400 isn't a joke against an impossible wall. It's 7% of a real target she can hit by her 50s. Maya set up an automatic $450 monthly transfer the same night. The anxiety didn't vanish, but for the first time it had edges. 3 honest caveats before you run yours. First, healthcare before Medicare at 65 is expensive, so bridge those years deliberately. Second, Social Security's trust fund faces a projected shortfall in the 2030s, so a cautious planner might trim projected benefits by 10 to 20% and keep a margin. Third, your number funds essentials, not adventures. You'll still want a comfort layer. On top for travel, gifts, and the fun that makes retirement worth retiring into. But notice what those caveats change. The plan's edges, not its center. The center holds, fund the gap, not the fantasy. And for the comfort layer, the wants, use a gentler multiplier. Essentials need the full 300 because they can never be skipped. Wants can flex in a bad year, so planners often fund them closer to 200 times the monthly amount. Say you want $800 a month for travel and grandkids and golf. That's about $160,000 in the dessert account, on top of Diana's $222,000 floor fund. Her full number, floor plus fun, lands near $382,000. Still not 126 million, still not close. The famous number isn't just wrong, it's wrong by a factor of 3 for an ordinary American life. And every year of your working life was priced against it. Now the twist that reframes everything you just heard. You've been taught that retirement anxiety ends at a dollar amount. And we've spent this whole video hunting for a better dollar amount. But watch what the evidence has been whispering the entire time. Walter's peace didn't come from reaching a balance. Richard's fear didn't come from missing one. The thing that ends retirement anxiety isn't a number on a statement at all. It's a ratio. Guaranteed monthly income divided by essential monthly expenses. The moment that ratio hits 1, the fear machinery in your head loses its fuel. And a ratio can be moved from both ends. Most people only ever push the savings end, the slowest, hardest lever there is. But delaying Social Security from 67 to 70 pushes the income end by 24%. Paying off a mortgage before retiring pushes the expense end down by 4 figures a month. Moving from a $2,400 cost of living city to a $1,700 one moves it again. A part-time job that covers $800 of essentials moves it. None of those levers require picking a single winning stock, and every one of them shrinks the pile you need. Here's what that reframe does to the classic retirement questions. How much do I need? Wrong question. Ask instead, how big is my gap? Am I behind? Wrong question. Ask instead, is my floor growing? Should I panic about the market? Only the layer above your floor belongs to the market. So the market only gets to frighten the dessert, never the dinner. Every scary headline you'll read next year is aimed at people measuring the wrong fraction. Once you've seen the right one, the headlines lose their teeth. Because a 20% market drop doesn't touch a covered cupboard. This is why some people get to safety on $220,000, while others never arrive with $2 million. The $2 million retiree who never built a floor still feels every market drop in his grocery budget. The $220,000 retiree whose essentials are covered by checks that arrive no matter what has functionally retired from fear itself. Most people spend 30 years trying to save their way out of anxiety. The escapees did something smarter. They arranged their lives so the anxiety had nothing left to protect. Retirement anxiety doesn't end when your savings hit 7 figures. It ends the month your essentials are paid before your portfolio wakes up. So here's the whole video in 4 moves. Ignore the 126 million headline. It's a survey of scared people, not a plan. List your essential expenses. Find your guaranteed income. Multiply the gap by 300 and fund that number first. When it's funded, every dollar after it stops being medicine and starts being dessert. And if you're wondering whether to invest the gap fund aggressively or safely or exactly which accounts to fill first, those are real questions with real answers, but they're a different conversation. For now, the next time someone quotes you a $1 trillion sounding retirement number, ask them one question. Covering what expenses with what income already in place? Because the gap is the only number that matters, and they almost never know yours. Maya's target is $270,000, and she's 7% in. Diana's is $222,000, and she's 11% in. Walter never had a big pile at all, just a floor under his feet, and he's on a boat to Alaska. Your number is one quiet evening of arithmetic away, and it is almost certainly smaller than you've been told. If this video showed you something you didn't know was happening with your money, subscribe to Wealth POV and hit the notification bell. We break down the hidden math behind the financial decisions you face every day. Do the math. Make the decision that matches your reality, not someone else's sales pitch.